Thank you for coming live with me today. Basically, I want to let you introduce yourself, but for like a little recap is I would like to say you are the social media guru for the beauty industry.
Oh,
Absolutely. I've learned so much from following you over the years. So I'd like to start with
thank
that, but I
you.
want to pass it on to you to give yourself a little introduction.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Obviously, like you said, I've been in the beauty industry for a long time. And I believe me and you started the same way. I started in microblading. I started a little over 8 years ago. So that was kind of my introduction into the whole beauty world. Is I got really fascinated by microblading. And once I started to get a little taste of like, not only is this fun, but like I can make good money, all the things, I just kind of went full steam ahead. I went to aesthetic school so I could do all the brow things, and then of course from there, like learned combo brows and machine brows and now nano brows and all the things. So yeah, it kind of just took off from there.
That's so odd. It's wild how it just like kind of snowballs, right? You start with one,
Uh
then
huh.
keep adding it. So is that how it works in Utah to do like certain services? You have to have like an aesthetics background?
Yeah, so not for any permanent makeup, but in order to like wax, tint, laminations, anything like that, I had to go to aesthetic school. So
Oh,
that was kind of my introduction.
that's awesome. It's also great to like have that as your background, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And then obviously, with everything social media, like you said, I just learned so early on that this was such a great tool. And it became so like fun and fascinating for me, where I think so many people view it as like this annoying chore. They're like, oh my gosh, I have to show up online. It's always been fun for me, where I just was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like I can grow all these things, I can build this brand. And so that was just kind of, yeah, like a really fun part of doing all this for me.
Well, and it's like I feel like people see it as like yeah, a task, an extra chore to like their business. But
Hmm.
we're like in the beauty industry, we're basically creatives, right? So if you can see it as like an
Exactly.
extension of your creativity of doing a set of brows or doing a set of lashes, that it's an expansion of that. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be, yeah, like, oh my God, I got to sit down and create this one piece of content.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I feel like it still is. And it ended up, especially like even from the beginning, becoming almost my favorite creative part of the whole job, where I was just always like, oh my gosh, we could do this shoot and like I could do this video and I could, it just became like a really fun game almost, where it just felt like the funnest part of my job.
That's the best way to look at it, like to gamify it. To like, I think you've made posts about
Yeah.
this before of like how to like make your day at the studio like more fun and like romanticize it, like romanticize
Uh-huh.
content too, right?
Exactly.
That's so awesome.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so that's a little bit of your backstory. You're still offering services too, right?
Yeah, so I still do part-time, not anywhere near as much as I was doing ever since I've kind of turned more online, but I still do, yeah, super part-time, really just like those loyal clients that I've had for years, because I'm like, I love doing that. I can't imagine giving it up. And yeah, so I still do services part-time.
I totally get that. And like, yeah, you have those few clients that you like just can't say no to, and it's like meeting
I
them or like
know.
seeing them is like just hanging out with a friend for like half an hour. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And that's everyone that I take now. And so it really is just, it's still a fun part of my job that I love.
that's amazing. It's like when you hit that point where it's like, yeah, work doesn't feel like work anymore.
Exactly.
So you've obviously transitioned online. So how did that happen to you? Like, how did you become like an online course creator, and like where did that stem from originally? Obviously, you love Instagram, but like it must have came from somewhere, like a struggle maybe or something like that.
Yeah, I love this question because I was thinking through, yeah, just my whole story and just kind of the whole trajectory of it, where like, yeah, I started just really obviously services. And then as that grew and people were like, oh my gosh, okay, you're really good. You've got kind of this whole thing nailed down. It became the natural transition for me to teach and train, but it was still in person at that point. So I was teaching, like I was doing a lot of microblading trainings and kind of, some shadowing and mentorship stuff. And I was doing a lot of stuff like that. That from there, once I realized that I could turn that online and make it more scalable, I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. Like it just, again, it made complete sense because it was so much more scalable. I could reach so many more people. And I was teaching the same thing to all my students essentially. So I was like, why would I not just turn this online? And so that's when I created the Brow School. And that was my original, online course, online thing, if you will. And that was like strictly for brow artists. But it was all online education. It was kind of, yeah, it was like a membership platform where I dropped new videos and stuff like that. And from there, it kind of just expanded where I was getting so many people reaching out, being like, okay, but I don't do brows, but like I'm seeing what you're posting on social media and you're posting all these things to help brow artists grow their business online, like that's applicable to me too. And I was like, okay, yes. So from there, it just kind of again was that natural evolution of like, it made so much sense to then create things that were for everyone. Because again, I was finding that beauty professionals across the board were needing this info. They were wanting this info. And so, yeah, from there, it was just kind of the natural evolution. And I think this has been by far my favorite like phase of my business because it's just so fun to be able to reach more people. And there's so many things in common that, yeah, it's been like a really fun thing for me.
Well, and it's like even beyond the beauty industry, but like beyond just teaching brows, right? Like what you're showing to like grow a business isn't necessarily just for brow artists. It can be lash artists, nail
Yeah,
artists,
exactly.
artists. So it's like it's still in the industry, but it's expanded beyond just your like straight service that you would teach one on one, right?
Exactly. Because, yeah, it just made so much sense when people were like, okay, yeah, I already know how to do brows. Now teach me how to grow the business. And I was like, okay, this is the fun part. Like that side too has always been what really just lights me up. Like, yes, I love doing services, like whatever, that was always something I love to do. But the business side of it, again, kind of that like gamifying it of just like, oh, this is cool. This is fun. Let's figure this out. This is what's working. This is what isn't working. That side was like so fascinating to me. So it just made sense to kind of share what I was learning. And it was so applicable for like people across the board.
Absolutely. And like that's like so similar to my story too. It was like once I created like the brow tab products, it was like chatting with artists that were like, yeah, like I'm amazing at my skills, but I don't know how to get clients or how to run the back end of the business. And like, yes, my course then taught more some Instagram. I feel like your Instagram was like better than mine. Like I learned so much from you, but I loved the like back end of the business. So like growing the back
Yes.
end, organizing is like was my focus. So it's like you find these holes and you're like, how can we fill this and make the industry better and help artists grow?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
love that.
Okay. So continuing on, I want to try and keep this short. So what would you think or what do you wish you knew before you kind of transition to online to like building your first course, let's say, or even your second course? What do you feel like you wish you knew before you got started that you kind of know now that you could have changed?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, like two main things stand out to me. One is like, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but in my head, it was okay. I have two sides to things.
Okay.
One, there's going to be a lot to learn, right? Like it took me a lot longer and lots of learning curves to figure out how to create that online course. And I think this is like where you are so awesome for people, Alex, is like it was a huge learning curve for me that I think it didn't necessarily need to be if I had like outsourced a little bit and learned exactly what I needed to do, exactly how to do that. It would have helped a lot. So that's one, is lots of just like messy learning because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But also, too, I wish I would have known, and this is something I'm still trying to learn, honestly, that like it doesn't need to be perfect to go live.
Yeah.
Like it really doesn't. And I think consumers and people viewing and learning, students, they don't need it to be perfect, is the other thing, too. Like they just need the information. And I think again, I think I still do this, but especially at the beginning, I let that idea that like it had to be 100% packaged, perfect, everything, like before I went live. And that just wasn't the case. People are going to buy it because they want to learn from you, not because it's like 1,000% perfect wrapped in a bow.
Absolutely. And like that is one of the biggest things that I do teach inside Online Rich is that just get it out there because people are buying that value. They want the result, they want the outcome. What the PDF looks like, if it's like as like something's a little bit off or you have like one spelling mistake, is not going to ruin their end result if they follow through
Yeah.
giving them. So just get it out there and then you can always update it after because there's a whole selling process involved too. Like, let's get it out there, get a sale, and then we can make it better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was definitely something that I had to learn as well is like get it out there and then you can keep making updates. Like I'll go in and make updates to my courses all the time, as I'm thinking or whatever, but it's like it can be live because like you're saying, people are getting those transformations and that's like the most important thing.
And I think that stems from like us being like artists too, right? Like how many times have you been like, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna post this set of brows because I can see this one little stroke that I don't like, but nobody's gonna notice.
Totally. I think there's like that inherent perfectionism in what we do. And that's a big piece of like, at least for me, that's a big piece of like why I went into microblading and brows in the first place is because I was like, I have such an eye for detail. I make everything perfect.
Yeah.
But then it definitely has, been a hindrance in certain things like that, where it's just like, okay, it doesn't have to be so perfect. That's just holding me back.
Yeah, and I think it sometimes becomes like a crutch too. It's like you have to hide behind
Hmm.
it being perfect. It's not ready yet. I can't launch it yet. And then
Yeah.
it's really just like that fear, that imposter syndrome that's holding you back. It's really fine and ready to go, but you're just like holding yourself back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you've had what is it, three programs now? Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, I've had some other like little things in ebooks and stuff, but yeah, my main kind of programs started with the brow school. So again, that was just like that all brow artists. Like it was just, and it was very like technical skill. Like, let me teach you how to become a better eyebrow artist. And then from there, as my business started to pivot, I created the Booked and Busy Academy. That's like my full signature program that essentially teaches beauty professionals of all kinds. It's essentially my entire roadmap to like building a successful business that's sustainable and profitable. So kind of walks you through all of those things that are super important to really build up a fully booked business. And then I have my membership, which is the Content Club, and that is a subscription platform for again beauty professionals of all kind, and it's for Instagram. So it's like, gives you a daily content idea, plug and play, caption, hook, all the things, as well as like tons of trending stuff, trending audio, and it's constantly being updated.
That's awesome. And I love that like recurring membership where you're getting something new every month.
Yeah.
So what do you think from transitioning from being like a full-time brow artist to being like part-time now, more online? I know you're a new mom too. Like what's your biggest
Yes.
win from like shifting that way?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that came to mind because they were like pretty close in time. Like I just pivoted to more all across the board beauty professionals just last year, and then obviously had my baby end of last year. So they were kind of simultaneous. And I think the biggest win for me was being able to spend more time like at home
Yeah,
with, just while I was pregnant, not feeling super great. And then now that I have her, having more of that work and more of that income be at home versus like I have to be physically in the studio taking clients to make money because, that obviously I wanted more time home with her. And then the other win is obviously just goes kind of hand in hand with that. Like the online space is so much more scalable. I've been able to reach so many more students and so many more people than I obviously would have if I was still just doing in person.
absolutely. And like that's amazing that like it's not even like you had the foresight to do it, but the way everything lined up that you were so set up with your online business and the growth of it and like the membership
Yeah.
too, that you were able to have that time, like you said, while you were pregnant when she was first born, and now to be able to like do less in studio time and spend more time with her, which like is probably one of the business or best aspects of taking your business online, is like that time where you're not tied to the studio or not tied to clients to actually make income.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was actually remembering too, like I didn't actually even launch the content club until I think it was like honestly less than a month before I was due with her. So I was kind of like, oh my gosh, we got to get this launched before I have her because there was some of that, yeah, foresight of being like, okay, I want something even more that can like help me be able to stay home with her more.
Yeah, and that like speaking specifically about building like a digital product, having a membership where it's like if you do kind of get a little more hands off with like the actual sales of it, that you have that recurring revenue too, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly, which has been super great.
That's
So
awesome.
honestly, lots of wins.
Yes, it sounds like a lot of wins, and that's what we're talking about here. So I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of talked about like what you wish you would have known, but like what was the biggest struggle you had when you shifted? Was it like now maybe not like having enough time for your clients, or was it really like the tech and figuring it out yourself, or like a combination of both, or something entirely different?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of all of that you described. For me, though, specifically, yeah, I think the biggest struggle, and this probably would not be the case with most people, I think this is kind of more specific to me. I just really struggle with like learning new platforms, the online, the tech, like that is not my strong suit. So I think that for me was and kind of still tends to be like the most challenging part of being in the online space. Yeah, I think like the balancing with clients and things like that, like it all kind of does, but it's all able to, I don't know, to be like remedied. Where, yeah, the learning curve of just like learning all the different platforms and like getting something out has been the most challenging for me.
I think that's honestly super relatable because when I'm talking to other like beauty artists, a lot of them are like, I'm terrified of the tech that's going to be involved of like even
Mm,
building it in Canva or having to launch it on their back end or anything like that. I just feel like maybe coming from the beauty industry because we're like more on that creative side, the tech scares us more than it actually
yeah.
it's like I love figuring out like the tech back end. Like if I could DIY
Mm,
everything, I would, which I have in the past.
I love that.
So to be able to like just give the simple steps inside online rich of like how somebody who doesn't know what they're doing with tech can easily follow it without having to spend the hours I spent going through it trying to figure it out, just can like streamline that process for them too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, which really is so huge. Because I think, like you said, when you're not someone who's naturally inclined to be like techie and just know like all of those things, which, yeah, I'm not, like, that's why I wanted to do something, very hands on. Yeah, I mean, I think it would have saved me and, like you're saying, so many other people like tons of hours
Yeah,
because it is kind of a learning curve. And if that's not your strong suit, it is kind of wasted time where, I think like if I had a little bit more of a fast track for that, like I would have saved a lot of time. And then the quicker you can get things out, like obviously the sooner you're making those sales and bringing in money, which is great.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that, and it's like I spent the time figuring it out too, but I almost like enjoyed it, like almost like you enjoyed figuring out how Instagram works and figuring out what worked and what didn't. I
Yeah.
was in the back end like enjoying figuring that out. So it's like funny we
Yes.
find our like places, right?
Totally. And yeah, where you're more naturally inclined, where it sounds like you're like, yeah, I can kind of figure this out easier. And me, I'm like, that's like so stressful. That's doesn't sound fun.
That's why we all have our place, right?
That's so true.
Okay, so before we get to our final announcement, what is the last piece of advice you would give to somebody who's starting to think about shifting their beauty business or any business to the online space in really any aspect?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, which I know you talk about this a lot, but it really is so true. I think the biggest advice is just even if you think you don't have anything to share, like even if you've got that imposter syndrome of like, okay, well, everyone already knows what I know, they don't.
Yeah.
Like, and you can keep things really simple because, like you said, where for you certain things come naturally. I love it. And for me, I'm like, everybody already knows Instagram. Like, this isn't anything new, but it's like people struggle with this, and I can absolutely help them, even if it seems basic and even if it seems like everybody already knows that they don't. And so, like, keeping, whatever you're good at and whatever you do a lot can be turned to an online course. And
Yeah.
people need that. Like, people want that, and it will help people.
And it's so true. And like, I love the way you said it because that's exactly what I say. It's like you think it's basic, but like it's not. It's basic to you, but it's not necessarily basic to somebody else. And even if there's somebody
Yeah.
else teaching something similar, they're not teaching it in the way that you're teaching it. And the way you resonate with someone is not the way they resonate with someone, right? So
Yeah.
there's space for everybody to teach their way of doing something.
Yeah, I love that you talk about that a lot because I think that's so true. And it's super easy to feel the imposter syndrome. I think,
For
I mean,
sure.
I felt that so many times. And then when you remember, like, no, yeah, the basic things to me, yeah, they're not basic to everyone. So there's something.
And I think it's like a big thing, I specifically in like the PMU industry too, is like we see some artists and we kind of start putting them up on a pedestal and they built an online education program and you're like, well, I don't feel as good as them or I don't think I've been doing this long enough so I couldn't possibly do that. And it's like, no, we have to pull that apart and like see that you're doing it a different way or you have a different view on it and you can do it too.
Yeah, no, exactly. I love that.